The next question is, what do you feel is the biggest obstacle to Pennsylvanians with disabilities right now? What would you do to support eliminating that obstacle?
I mean, I also really like what really resonates with me about it too is I think we can very quickly jump to legislation in terms of we're going to pass this bill, we're going to pass that bill, we're going to, do this and that. But I think at the end of the day, what actually changes communities and what actually changes people's lives is not the bill. It's what came before it, which is the communication with actual people who are experiencing the issues that it's supposed to address. And then what comes after it, how we enforce this, how we implement it, how it actually unfolds in real time. And so I think, any legislation has to come out of those community relationships that you build and follow from those real relationships that can then inform policy. I completely agree with everything John was saying about particularly transportation. I mean, you take a look at the 85th district. We used to have more public transportation than we do now. We used to have a train that would take you from Lewisburg to Mifflinburg. We used to have a bus that would take you from Shamokin Dam to Sunbury, and we've lost those things. So in some ways, we've actually retreated from more substantive transportation. So I don't think we don't have to sit back and go, oh, we're in the rural areas. We're never going to be able to get around if you don't drive. We don't have to be resigned to that. I think to touch on maybe another area that to me seems pretty high importance um, is access to affordable, reliable care and support services. I mean, in my own family, the difficulty of maintaining care when changing employers, when losing employment or not having it in the beginning is just unbelievable. And the amount of time and energy and heart that, it takes to fight those battles over and over and over again. I often wonder just how much frustration and anger in our country right now is attributable in one way or another to struggles with healthcare, with medical debt, and with getting access to the care that you need. And I think here, we've got workforce shortages. We just have a general underfunding crisis and aging populations and long wait lists, unbelievably long wait lists that prevent people from receiving the necessary care that that they deserve. I think to address this, we can increase funding for home and community-based services. Trying to bring as much as possible into communities and creating those lower intervention level care, home visits, your kind of community centers that people can go to instead of just waiting and then ending up in the ER. And I think we can create stronger incentives for expanding our care workforce in Pennsylvania, whether that's through scholarships that, ask people to stay in Pennsylvania and work in the industry, whether it's just by showing more respect for our healthcare workers and acknowledging the enormous value that they provide to the community. But fundamentally, the goal is that everyone deserves a chance to live independently and with dignity. And that's what we got to fight for.